Welcome back to Days. Today we will learn about the explosive revelations and romantic entanglements that will shake Salem to its core on Tuesday, August 5th. The residents of our beloved fictional town are about to face a whirlwind of emotions, dangerous schemes, and life-changing encounters that will leave viewers on the edge of their seats. The DiMera family drama intensifies. The DiMera mansion continues to be a hotbed of supernatural tension and family discord as Johnny DiMera finds himself caught between two powerful forces. E.J. DiMera and Johnny are strategically planning for the upcoming trial, but their carefully laid plans face an unexpected disruption from the most unlikely source, Susan Banks, whose psychic abilities have become increasingly potent and unsettling. Susan's mysterious spiritual connection to the DiMera patriarch Stefano creates an atmosphere of unease that permeates every corner of the mansion. Her supernatural intuition seems to be picking up on dark energies and hidden secrets that threaten to unravel the family's carefully constructed facade. When Susan deliberately attempts to provoke Johnny during their conversation, her psychological manipulation tactics prove surprisingly effective. The young DiMera heir, already under tremendous pressure from the impending legal proceedings, finds his composure cracking under his grandmother's relentless spiritual warnings. Johnny's explosive reaction to Susan's provocations reveals the depth of his anxiety about the trial and the supernatural forces that Susan claims are at work. His subsequent apology demonstrates the internal struggle between his rational mind and the growing fear that perhaps Susan's psychic warnings contain more truth than he's willing to admit. The emotional toll of carrying family secrets while facing potential legal consequences creates a powder keg of tension that threatens to explode at any moment. Marlena's double dose of devastating news. Marlena Evans faces what can only be described as a perfect storm of troubling revelations that will test her renowned psychological resilience. The beloved psychiatrist, who has weathered countless crises throughout her decades in Salem, finds herself confronting not one but two significant challenges that could fundamentally alter her world. The first shock arrives through Sarah Horton Kyriakis, who delivers news that appears to be deeply concerning and potentially life-altering. The nature of Sarah's revelation remains shrouded in mystery, but speculation ranges from alarming health updates about Marlena herself to disturbing developments regarding Rachel Black's psychological state and her upcoming testimony. Given Marlena's recent struggles with grief and the emotional weight of recent events, any additional stress could prove particularly devastating. The second wave of distressing information comes from Susan Banks, whose psychic abilities have locked onto something deeply troubling about Marlena's current state. Susan's supernatural perception suggests that Marlena is suffering from a disturbance that affects her mind, body, and soul simultaneously, a trifold crisis that goes beyond typical psychological stress. Susan's persistent warnings about negative energy surrounding Marlena create an atmosphere of impending doom that cannot be easily dismissed, especially given Susan's track record of accurate psychic predictions. Chad and Julie's explosive confrontation. The Horton family dynamics take a dramatic turn when Chad DiMera arrives at the Horton house to deliver news that will fundamentally challenge Julie Williams' expectations and protective instincts. Julie's reaction to Chad's unexpected announcement promises to be nothing short of explosive, particularly given her strong opinions about his romantic choices and her deep concern for his emotional well-being. The revelation centers around Chad's growing feelings for Kat Green, a development that Julie views with considerable alarm and disapproval. Julie's protective maternal instincts toward Chad clash directly with his right to pursue happiness on his own terms, creating a generational conflict that touches on themes of independence, trust, and the complex nature of family loyalty. Her concerns stem from Kat's history of deception, particularly her initial masquerade as Chad's deceased wife, Abigail, a betrayal that Julie finds impossible to forgive or forget. Chad's patience with Julie's interference has been gradually wearing thin, and this confrontation may finally push him to establish necessary boundaries. His surprising announcement could range from his intention to pursue a serious relationship with Kat to his decision to trust her despite her complicated past. The emotional stakes are particularly high because Julie's disapproval could potentially damage their close relationship, while Chad's need for autonomy and happiness cannot be indefinitely suppressed. Kat's intensive ISA training regimen. Kat Green's transformation from desk analyst to field operative takes center stage as she begins intensive training with Rafe Hernandez. The training sessions represent a crucial turning point in Kat's mission to infiltrate and investigate the DiMera organization, but they also expose her to new levels of physical and emotional danger that she has never previously encountered. Rafe's training methods focus heavily on self-defense techniques and situational awareness, recognizing that Kat's analytical background has not prepared her for the physical confrontations and dangerous scenarios she may face in the field. The training sessions become increasingly intense as Rafe pushes Kat to develop the instincts and reflexes necessary for survival in high-stakes situations. However, the physical demands of the training appear to take their toll, with hints that Kat may sustain injuries during the rigorous preparation process. The emotional complexity of Kat's situation intensifies as she struggles to maintain her cover while developing genuine feelings for Chad. Her training with Rafe forces her to confront the reality that her mission could ultimately destroy any chance of a real relationship with Chad, particularly if he discovers that their elevator encounter was essentially an intelligence-gathering operation disguised as intimate conversation. The psychological pressure of living a double life while preparing for a dangerous mission creates internal conflict that threatens to compromise both her professional effectiveness and her personal happiness. Gabi's seductive manipulation campaign. Gabi Hernandez launches a carefully orchestrated seduction campaign targeting Xander Kyriakis, employing her considerable charm and strategic intelligence to draw him into her web of manipulation. Her approach represents a masterclass in psychological manipulation, as she exploits Xander's current vulnerabilities and emotional needs to advance her own ambitious agenda for regaining control of DiMera Enterprises. The seductive trap that Gabi sets involves creating an atmosphere of intimacy and mutual support that makes Xander feel valued and understood during his ongoing custody battle struggles. Her technique involves carefully timed expressions of sympathy and encouragement, combined with subtle physical attraction that gradually lowers Xander's defenses. The upcoming dinner at the bistro serves as the centerpiece of her strategy, providing an elegant and romantic setting where she can maximize her influence over Xander's decision-making process. Gabi's ultimate objective extends far beyond simple romantic conquest. She's conducting a sophisticated intelligence operation designed to uncover information that could be used to advance the Hernandez family's business interests. Her willingness to use romantic manipulation as a tool for corporate espionage demonstrates the calculating nature of her personality and her determination to reclaim the power and status she believes rightfully belongs to her. However, this dangerous game of deception carries significant risks, particularly if Xander discovers her true motivations or if Sarah Horton Kyriakis becomes aware of the growing intimacy between them. The brewing storm of consequences. The interconnected nature of these storylines creates a complex web of relationships and conflicts that threaten to explode into Salem-wide chaos. Susan's psychic warnings about supernatural forces and hidden dangers appear to be manifesting in the very real threats facing multiple families simultaneously. The combination of legal pressures, romantic deceptions, family conflicts, and covert operations creates a volatile mixture that could ignite at any moment. The custody battle between Xander and Sarah adds another layer of complexity to the romantic manipulations orchestrated by Gabi. As Xander becomes increasingly entangled in Gabi's seductive web, his judgment regarding the custody situation may become compromised, potentially jeopardizing his relationship with both his daughter and Sarah. The emotional vulnerability created by his legal struggles makes him an ideal target for Gabi's manipulation, but it also sets the stage for devastating consequences when the truth inevitably emerges. The training and mission preparation taking place behind the scenes with Kat and Rafe suggests that larger forces are moving to destabilize the DiMera organization. The timing of this covert operation, coinciding with Johnny's trial and the family's existing internal conflicts, indicates that Salem's power structure may be on the verge of a fundamental transformation that will affect every major family in town. Tuesday's episode promises to deliver the kind of multi-layered drama that Days of Our Lives fans have come to expect and cherish, with each storyline contributing to a larger narrative tapestry that will undoubtedly continue to evolve and surprise viewers in the days and weeks ahead. Next, in the quiet town of Salem, where the rhythm of life often hums along predictably, a dramatic turn of events unfolded on Monday, August 4, 2025, captivating the hearts of everyone who followed the gripping saga of Chad and Kat, two souls caught in a perilous predicament. The latest episode of Days of Our Lives delivered a story so intense, so fraught with emotion, that it left viewers on the edge of their seats, clutching their tissues and holding their breath. This is the tale of their harrowing night trapped in a broken elevator, the frantic efforts of their loved ones to find them, and the miraculous moment when hope triumphed over despair. A chance encounter at the hospital. The day began like any other at Salem University Hospital, a place where the pulse of the community beats strong. Marlena Evans, the town's beloved psychiatrist, was making her rounds, her mind heavy with the weight of her patients' stories. As she stepped into the bustling hospital corridor, she nearly collided with her dear friend Julie Williams, whose face was etched with worry. Julie's eyes, usually bright with mischief, were clouded with concern as she pulled Marlena aside to share the shocking news: Chad DiMera had been involved in an incident. The details were vague, but the urgency in Julie's voice was unmistakable. As they spoke, Julie's gaze drifted to a faded, out-of-order sign taped haphazardly to the hospital's main elevator. The sign, overlooked by so many in the daily rush, suddenly took on a sinister significance. Marlena's heart sank as Julie pieced together the puzzle. "Marlena," she whispered, her voice trembling, "what if Chad's stuck in there? What if he's not alone?" The two women exchanged a look of shared dread, their years of friendship forging an unspoken agreement to act. The hospital, a place of healing, had become the stage for a potential tragedy. A nightmare in the dark inside the stalled elevator, the air was thick with tension. Kat Graham, a woman with a mysterious past and a steely resolve, stirred from a restless sleep. Her heart pounded as fragments of a nightmare clung to her mind, flashes of darkness, a sense of falling, and the echo of a scream she couldn't place. She glanced at Chad, who was slumped against the wall, his face pale but determined. The dim emergency light cast eerie shadows, amplifying the claustrophobic confines of their metal prison. Kat's instinct was to keep her nightmare to herself. After all, she was no stranger to secrets, her life as a covert operative had taught her to guard her thoughts carefully. But as Chad stirred, his eyes meeting hers with a mix of concern and curiosity, she softened. "Just a recurring dream," she murmured, brushing off his questions. "Something from after the accident." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly as she recalled the car crash that had changed her life years ago, a trauma that still haunted her in moments of vulnerability. As the reality of their situation sank in, Kat realized they had been trapped in the elevator all night. The hours had blurred together, marked only by the faint hum of the hospital above and the occasional flicker of the emergency light. Chad, ever the optimist, tried to lighten the mood with a weak smile. "Well, at least we're not alone," he quipped, gesturing to the cramped space they shared. But Kat's mind was racing. They couldn't wait for rescue any longer, she had to act. A daring escape attempt with a resolve born of desperation, Kat surveyed their surroundings. The elevator's control panel was useless, its buttons unresponsive. The ceiling, however, offered a glimmer of hope, a small access hatch, barely visible in the dim light. "I'm going up," she declared, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Chad protested, his protective instincts kicking in, but Kat was undeterred. She had faced worse odds in her covert missions, and she wasn't about to let a stuck elevator defeat her. Using a metal strip pried from the elevator's handrail, Kat managed to loosen the hatch. She climbed onto Chad's shoulders, her movements precise despite the shaky foundation. The air grew colder as she pushed the hatch open, revealing a dark, cavernous shaft above. The sight was daunting, but Kat's determination burned brighter than her fear. She began to climb, her fingers gripping the rusty ladder rungs embedded in the shaft's wall. Each step was a test of endurance, her muscles straining as she fought to keep her focus. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A sudden jolt shook the elevator, and Kat lost her grip, tumbling back into the car with a cry. Chad caught her, his arms wrapping around her as they both hit the floor. The impact was jarring, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. The escape attempt had failed, leaving them bruised but alive. In that moment of shared vulnerability, something shifted between them. The walls they had both built, Kat with her guarded secrets, Chad with his polished charm, began to crumble. They were no longer just strangers trapped together, they were allies, bound by the ordeal they faced. A cry for help back in the hospital, Julie's intuition had sparked a chain reaction. She began knocking on doors, calling out to anyone who might hear her. Chad! Kat! Are you there? Her voice echoed through the corridors, drawing curious glances from nurses and patients alike. She raced to the elevator, pounding on the doors and shouting into the shaft. To her astonishment, a faint response came from below, Chad's voice, strong and clear, calling back to her. Kat's voice joined in, weaker but resolute. The sound was a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the chaos. The clarity of their voices raised a haunting question: why hadn't anyone heard them before? The hospital was alive with activity, yet their cries had gone unnoticed for hours. Julie pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. She dialed J.J. Devereaux, a young police officer known for his quick thinking and kind heart. "J.J., it's Julie," she said breathlessly. "They're in the elevator. The one that's out of order. It's collapsed, and they're trapped." The fastest rescue in Salem history at the Salem Police Department, J.J. was buried in paperwork, his desk a chaotic jumble of reports and coffee cups. The call from Julie jolted him into action. The elevator collapse was no small matter, it was a crisis that demanded immediate attention. J.J. grabbed his radio and rallied his team, his mind racing as he pieced together the situation. Chad and Kat, missing since the previous day, had been overlooked in the hospital's daily bustle. The realization hit him like a punch: they had been right under everyone's noses, trapped in a broken elevator. The rescue operation was swift and efficient, a testament to the tight-knit community of Salem. Firefighters and paramedics descended on the hospital, their equipment clattering as they worked to pry open the elevator doors. Julie stood by, wringing her hands, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Marlena joined her, offering a comforting hand on her shoulder. "They're going to be okay," Marlena said softly, her voice a steady anchor in the storm. Inside the elevator, Chad and Kat clung to each other, their breaths shallow as they listened to the sounds of rescue above. The hours of uncertainty had forged a bond between them, a quiet understanding that transcended words. When the doors finally groaned open, revealing the anxious faces of their rescuers, relief washed over them like a tidal wave. Chad helped Kat to her feet, their hands lingering for a moment longer than necessary as they stepped into the light. A community united as the paramedics checked Chad and Kat for injuries, the hospital lobby buzzed with activity. Chanel de Mera, Chad's sister, arrived with her young daughter Felicity in tow. Her eyes welled with tears as she saw her brother, safe but shaken. "Thank you, J.J., she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You didn't have to do anything except be your kind self, but that was enough." J.J., ever humble, brushed off the praise, but his smile betrayed his relief. Felicity, sensing the gravity of the moment, clung to her mother's side, her wide eyes taking in the scene. The hospital, once a place of routine, had become a stage for a miracle. Julie, Marlena, and the others gathered around, their faces a tapestry of relief and gratitude. The ordeal had reminded them all of the fragility of life and the strength of their community. Reflections in the aftermath. As the sun set over Salem, casting a golden glow over the town, Chad and Kat sat in the hospital's quiet recovery room. The bruises on their bodies would fade, but the experience had left an indelible mark on their hearts. Kat, still guarded, opened up just enough to share a piece of her past with Chad, a hint of the accident that had shaped her recurring nightmares. Chad, in turn, offered a piece of his own story, his charm giving way to a rare vulnerability. Their time in the elevator, though terrifying, had been a crucible, forging a connection that neither could have anticipated. As they talked, the weight of the night lifted, replaced by a tentative hope for what lay ahead. In Salem, where secrets and surprises were as common as the morning dew, this moment of human connection felt like a triumph. For the residents of Salem, the rescue of Chad and Kat was more than just a happy ending, it was a reminder of the power of community, the strength of friendship, and the resilience of the human spirit. As Julie and Marlena shared a quiet moment outside the hospital, watching the stars emerge in the night sky, they knew that this day would be remembered as one of Salem's finest hours.